Now, some breaking news that we are getting concerning the same thing. As pollution levels continue to rise, Delhi Environment Minister Gopal Rai has chaired an emergency meeting, and we are all set to know what has been the response of the Delhi government, especially after this rap on its knuckles by the Supreme Court, the kind of suggestions that have been placed before the Delhi government and also the various other stakeholders by the apex court of the country, and all of that is being discussed in that meeting that is being chaired by the Environment Minister, Mr. Gopal Rai. To get more details of what is expected out of this meeting, my colleague Akash Sharma is with us on the broadcast. Akash, details please.
So this meeting is important, Griha, because in fact yesterday it was decided that all the officers of the Delhi government and in fact the Environment Minister will be sitting and will be discussing and deliberating the plan as to how they are going to implement the odd even scheme. We know that how the fourth level of graded response action plan is already in place. We know about the several sort of restrictions, measures and the steps that have been undertaken by the Delhi government. But this particular meeting will somewhere lay down the plan as far as this odd even scheme and the formula is concerned. We know that how yesterday it was announced. And in this particular meeting, officers will also suggest as to how they are going to increase the number of buses, because generally what we see that they, go for hiring of new buses, because you have to, see the public transport when you are putting several sort of restrictions on, private vehicles. And this is the reason why this particular meeting is very important. What we are learning is that Gopal Rai is going to address a press conference after this particular meeting, and in that particular press conference, we'll be able to, know as to what is the final plan of the Delhi government as far as this particular implementation is concerned. Griha.
Okay, Akash, I'd request you to stay on with us. We'd want more understanding on what is the Delhi government planning to do on getting in more electric buses to ply as far as the services is concerned, and also to increase the frequency of the metro services if they are dissuading the public not to use their private vehicles through this odd even scheme. But before we do that, let's actually get more perspective of what really has come out of the apex court, as our colleague Ananya is also live with us from the Supreme Court of the country. Ananya, rap on the knuckles of the Delhi government and also the other state governments close to Delhi, whether it is Punjab, Haryana and also Uttar Pradesh, by the Supreme Court. There have been certain observations, suggestions that have been made, and there has been a very, very important emphasis on stubble burning and how this needs to be immediately stopped. What are you learning vis-a-vis that, and what and how is the Supreme Court planning to pursue, if at all, these suggestions are not met in time?
Well, definitely the Supreme Court of India, very, very stern. This bench headed by Justice Sanjay Kishan called clearly with an attitude that, the Delhi has to be unchoked. There has to be a certain kind of a relief that needs to be granted to the people of Delhi who are breathing this choking since the last few days. And in fact, stern observations and stern directions coming in from the Supreme Court. The most important one being the DPCC chief to appear before the Supreme Court on the next date of hearing with regards to the smoke towers not being operational in the national capital. He will have to come and brief the Supreme Court about it as to why it has happened and whether or not these smoke towers would be operational in the next hearing or by the next hearing or not. Another important direction coming in, all the chief secretaries asked to convene a meeting, the important meeting to be attended by all the stakeholders in order to discuss the further plan when it comes to tackling this whole pollution menace in the national capital territory of Delhi, because the Supreme Court very, very sternly and categorically noted that the Delhi does not have a weather of its own, and in fact adapts the weather which comes in from Shimla, from the neighbouring states, and that's exactly how the weather regulates in the national capital territory of Delhi, and that's exactly why the effects of the doings of the other states actually comes up on the national capital territory of Delhi because of its location, very clearly asking the Punjab government to make the station house officers, the SHOs, responsible if at all a stubble burning incident happens in their particular vicinity. In fact, the Punjab government very, very categorically, agreeing also that it has one of the major problem of stubble burning, and they are making all efforts to stop it and to make the state a stubble burning free state.
Yes.
Not only this, the state of Rajasthan clearly saying that though it does not have much of a bearing on the state of the national capital of territory of Delhi, because it is not sharing any kind of a direct borders with Delhi. It comes through Haryana or Punjab, and very clearly, a very clear direction also to the Delhi government to regulate the vehicles that are operating in the National Capital Territory of Delhi, clearly saying that the buses of the DTC are going half full and are only contributing to the pollution. Not only this, the taxis that are operating in the National Capital Territory with the yellow numbers are not only of Delhi registration but also of UP and Haryana, and there has to be certain kind of a way where registration of vehicles and in fact the vehicular entry should be restricted by the Delhi government. How much of it doesn't being complied is something that we'll get to know on Friday when the matter comes up before the topmost court of the country. Remember that the Supreme Court will also be taking note of the meeting that has been taking place of the chief secretaries of various states of
absolutely,
the neighboring
Ananya,
states
and the whole emphasis is also to hold not just the Delhi police but various other stakeholders accountable for this hazardous air, and that is what has come out of the Supreme Court. Ananya has pretty much broken down all the points for our viewers, but let me also one by one let you know on what have been the key concerns that have been laid out by the Supreme Court, what has come out of the Apex Court on the Delhi hazardous air. Now, first thing that the court goes on to say that this air is hazardous, the farm fires are the major contributors to this particular pollution. Then it says that the stubble burning must stop immediately, and how there are a number of children in the national capital who are facing health issues because of the hazardous air that they are having to breathe. Remember, the Delhi government is cautioning that little children should not be allowed to go to school. The schools are shut. They should go to online mode for people who have the board examinations, but all of that is for later. Right now, the impact of this hazardous air has been felt especially amongst children, and that was one important fact that was underlined by the Supreme Court. In fact, the court further goes on to say that the Delhi government cannot be, oblivious to the fact that it is making Delhi into this entire gas chamber. Delhi can't be made to go through this. The court underlined this fact, and it also wrapped the government, and it said that government must support states of Punjab for alternate crop burning exercises, or in fact other means of taking care of what can be done about the residual stubble. Now, the blame game, the political blame game that has happened over this entire pollution crisis between the various governments of Haryana, Delhi, Punjab and also Uttar Pradesh, the Supreme Court also threw light on that. And the court said that this blame game must stop between the governments. And that was an important aspect that the Supreme Court also underlined. While the political bickering continues, the important thing remains that there needs to be something constructive that needs to be done while Delhi grapples with this hazardous air. My colleague Anshul is also with us on the broadcast. Let's actually take this across to him. Anshul, there was a point that our colleague Akash and Ananya were also making as far as accountability is concerned. When it comes to the smog towers being shut and how this was brought to light by the Delhi Environment Minister, he had written to the Delhi Chief Minister and spoken about this. There was a blame game on that as well. Now that the Supreme Court has also weighed in on this one aspect, what is it that the Delhi government is planning on doing when it comes to the safe implementation of everything which is concerning pollution checks in Delhi, and also especially so that these smog towers which were shut are brought back into an operational condition?
So yes, the blame game is something that is very constant, much like the pollution that engulfs the national capital year in and year out. We have seen that how the same kind of allegations are have been doing back and forth between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party in different states, and this year was no different as well. Now finally the Supreme Court has now stepped into this and said what a lot of people out here in the national capital were actually thinking, that this blame game should stop, and in fact all these parties should actually come together, sit on a table and chart out a concrete plan through which they can go ahead and do away with this problem of pollution for once and for all. But this time around as well, we have seen the manner in which the blame game has been going on. Smog towers was one of the most contentious points that had in fact had been in the middle of the conversation between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, because the BJP has been putting up this point that yes, these smog towers were built at a cost of 22 crores and 10 lakh rupees is needed every month just to maintain these smog towers, but for what benefits? And since the time the pollution has increased out here in the national capital, the smog towers have not been working, whatever might be the reason. But yes, this is few of the things that have been in the talking points between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. But yes, finally the Supreme Court has now stepped in. But yes, even after smog towers, even after they are switched on, it is not a permanent solution to the issue of pollution that the people of Delhi have to face year in and year out. Even throughout the year, we have seen that there has been very little to no work that has been done by the governments, be it the Punjab government, Haryana government, the Delhi government or the Uttar Pradesh government. Absolutely zero to no work has been done to curb this menace of pollution out here in the national capital. Now today, as well as meetings are happening not only in the national capital but also in parts of Haryana as well. There are meetings happening just to curb this menace of pollution. But couldn't these meetings have happened probably a few months ago,
Yes.
or probably last year itself, so that we could have a concrete plan that would have been in place at this point in time? But yes, the kind of menace that this pollution has created definitely raises a lot of questions on the willingness of these governments to actually go ahead and solve this issue, because this actually catapults into one of the political issues, be it in Punjab. We saw in Punjab as well, there were a lot of promises made to the farmers regarding the burning of the crop residue as well, and it is also a very big issue, political issue out here in the national capital when it comes to the elections as well. So do these parties actually also want to solve this problem, or do they want to go ahead with this problem, because this actually gives them a lot of political brownie points, a lot of topics to actually talk upon during the elections as well? So yes, all these questions still remain unanswered, because we are still waiting for a concrete plan that could be accepted by all these 4 states, through which we can expect that this level of pollution could actually come down. Now at this point in time, the meeting that is being conducted by Gopal Rai, the Environment Minister, this meeting becomes a very, very crucial meeting for the near future, because it will be decided at how the odd even plan would be implemented in the national capital over the next few weeks, till the time the pollution is going to increase out here in the national capital. How the Delhi government is actually planning to make sure that people stay inside their homes and a safe environment is provided to them. So yes, the next few hours are very, very crucial for the immediate future of Delhiites.
Absolutely. Anshul, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are waiting for that press conference also after that meeting really concludes, that is being spearheaded by the Delhi Environment Minister, Mr. Gopal Rai. But let's go back to the key points that have come out of the Supreme Court. As Delhi grasps and gasps for breath, the top court has made certain observations. Number one, the top court is talking about the various states of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Rajasthan to stop crop burning with immediate effect. The observation before the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court in fact suggested was alternative to stubble burning that all of these state governments must exercise and they should keenly look at. Punjab is already suggesting certain ways which have not been practically implemented. What have been the cause of concern when it comes to that, and why could those measures not be implemented before Delhi sees this time of the year again, was something that the Supreme Court also discussed, and that also should be a learning from for the various other states of what really went wrong when it comes to the state of Punjab after all of the respective measures were announced by the Bhagwant Mann government. Observation number 3. All kinds of waste must not be burnt openly. That's one more key observation that's come out of the Supreme Court. Then they further go on to say that the Chief Secretary must be meeting with all the stakeholders who are important for this pollution curb exercise, and also accountability needs to be fixed, not just with the Delhi police but various other stakeholders as well, including the various state governments. Number 5, the Supreme Court also speaks about this political blame game between the states, and that must stop. The Supreme Court has been very, very stern on this one aspect. And the other thing that the court goes on to mention is that there must be an end to the politics over smog towers. Remember, the smog tower became a key political plank when it comes to the environment minister writing to the Delhi chief minister, and how there was a blame game between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Bharatiya Janata Party over the shutting of certain smog towers. Number 7 that has come out of the Supreme Court is for the court suggesting to explore all possible options on MSP for other crops, so that the stubble burning exercise can be in fact dealt with from the root of it. And that was the key suggestion that has come out of the apex court of the country.
अब तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की इस फटकार के बाद कम से कम आम आदमी पार्टी को दिल्ली की जनता से माफ़ी मांगनी चाहिए और केंद्र पर, यूपी पर, हरियाणा पर प्रदूषण का दोष डालना बंद करना चाहिए और अपनी जो जिम्मेदारी है उसको उठाना चाहिए। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जो तल्ख टिप्पणियां आई है पंजाब की पराली को लेकर और जिस प्रकार से दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है उसको लेकर आज स्पष्ट है कि आम आदमी पार्टी पूर्ण तरीके से विफल रही है और उन्हीं के कारण आज दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है। पूरी दुनिया में सबसे प्रदूषित राजधानी है। 999 भी पहुंच चुका है AQI इंडेक्स कुछ जगहों पर, लगातार 5-6 दिन से सीवियर कैटेगरी में रहा है और दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है।